Good Thursday morning, everybody. This is Grace, and I'm trying this again for the second time. I want to talk about something that happened to me yesterday. It was actually um, 7:50 p.m. I was doing a video at the time, and I just made a comment about what time it was. When this was actually going on, at first I didn't realize it was going on. But basically, I was doing a video about something that had happened earlier in the day, and I had driven to this convenience store, and on my way there I had to flash my lights because it was turning dark, and it was basically almost dark, and somebody had their brights on, and it was making it difficult to see that road. So my lights were on, so I went down to this convenience store, and I was videoing from to the left of me, which was where the storefront was that I had on the storefront. And to the right of me was a SUV, and she was parked really close. And on the other side of her was another SUV, which was a red SUV. And that was to the right of me. So I was videoing to the left. And I did like a minute of a video, and I stopped because there was a man. The woman came out, and she got back in her SUV with her child, and they just sat there. I was wondering, why was she just sitting there? And I looked over, and the man in the SUV next to her was staring at me, and he was like waving his hands and talking or something, and he was staring right at me. And I just turned back, to the store, and I started to do another clip because I can only do a minute at a time on my cell phone, the camera, the video. So I turned back around, and then he got out of his, apparently had gotten out of his SUV and was walking in front of my SUV, which is near the store, so that's kind of normal. And he was looking at my lights, like, one light on my thing, and he was looking around on my SUV on the front. I thought that was weird. So I thought maybe one of my lights is out or something like that. And it's not, by the way. Then he went in the store, and I wasn't really, thinking that much about that. So I sat there for a second. Then I went in. Okay, now being a narcissistic abuse survivor, and not just one person from one person, I know I went through a stage that I was highly suspicious of other people, and I do know that this is something rather common from what I understand. And so I try not to be too suspicious of people, and it's very difficult to do after what I've seen in my life. I'm in my 50s, so yeah, I've seen quite a bit. And so I was cautious, but not overly suspicious until I got in the store. Okay. And I have done videos about this store. It's a new store. It's a huge convenience store. They just remodeled it. Looks really nice. It's huge. It has the gas pumps and huge. Behind it, in front of it, but behind where I was sitting. So I went into the store and got what I needed, and I heard I mentioned before that I'm usually the only woman in the store, and anytime I go in, well, I went up to the cashiers, and it wasn't that busy, and I heard, "Hey, ma'am," and it sounded like it was on the other end. I was at the cash register. It sounded like it was way back in the back, that store. But I heard it, and I turned around and looked, and there was a guy standing behind me, which apparently was that guy, and from that red SUV. But from the distance where the sound was coming from, there was nobody. And I thought, that's weird. That's very weird. Maybe they hid behind something or something. I don't know. It was strange. So I, paid for my stuff and went back out to get back in my SUV. No problem. That's what you do. So I get back in my SUV, and I started up, and I'm sitting there, and I see this man walk behind my SUV. Okay, instead of going in front of it to get back to his SUV, the red SUV, he walked behind mine. Okay, that's very odd. Okay, so he walked behind my SUV, and which is odd, like I said. And he stopped right up against my SUV and took a photo or a video, I don't know, of with his cell phone of my license plate, okay, which has my license plate number. Then also took that of my SUV, like video, picture, whatever, photo. And at that moment, when I saw that, I grabbed my phone, which was sitting there because I had been doing a video and I left my cell phone in the SUV. I grabbed it and I did a video of him, which I actually have the video. He walked back around, got in his SUV, and it shows that he had his cell phone on and was pointing it at me. And he got back in his SUV and waved at me, and then started just talking to me. And sitting in his SUV, because the SUV between us had already left and there was nobody there. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you saying, you know? And he's just, you know, talking. I can't hear him because of the distance, and his windows are up and mine are up. And he's just doing some weird things. And on the video, you can hear me. I'm not going to play it. It might be used later on. Something legal comes from this, but I said, I need to call 911 on this guy. You know, I looked the other way, took the video away, looked the other way with the video, you know, back to the left, and was saying, I need to call the 911, you know. And I turned back around and saw what he was still doing when I wasn't even looking his direction, you know, looking in his direction. And that's why I said, I need to call 911, you know, to myself, you know, to the video. So I had to get off the phone to call 911 on the phone. So I called 911, and the woman asked me where it was, and I was just so shaken up that I could not even remember the name of the street, because she said they had 3 of those in that area. And she asked me, what do you see? And I told her, and and you know, she said, okay. And I said, he's now sitting. What he did after that, while I was on the phone with her, was he was in his SUV. He drove to where he was behind me and stopped, to where if I tried to get out, I would probably hit him. Okay, you know, and that was very scary. And I was telling her what, you know, had just happened and everything. I'll be right back. Okay, so I was on 911. I was telling this woman that what was going on, and I said, well, now I see a red SUV in one of the, what do you call them, stalls or whatever, where the gas pumps are, and it was right behind me and facing toward my SUV. And I told her, I said, it's red, a red SUV. Now, where I live, you have black, white, and brown SUVs. That's usually the only colors you ever see. So to see a red SUV is unusual. So what are the odds that at that time, at that place, I would see 2 red SUVs? Very unusual, very. So it would be a very weird coincidence. And this person was not getting gas. That's another thing. They were not outside of their vehicle. They were not getting gas, and they were just sitting there. So I wasn't on the phone with her. I just told her, and she said, we'll have somebody, you know, police officers out there real soon. So I, you know, sat there thinking, okay, how long am I going to sit here waiting? And I looked back to the right, where the guy had already left. You know, like I said, he was behind me at one point. And I looked over that direction. There were the police officers. It was that fast. And I told him I was shaking. I was really shaking, and because of the actions this man was making, and everything, you know, trying to block me in and all this stuff. And this place is very well lit. Okay, very, you know, we weren't the only 2 there. You know, there are other cars, so it's like you would think you would be, and it's in a good enough area, you know, that's not, you know, known for this. So I get out of my SUV and I go up to the police officers, and they're really young, really, really young. And I tell them, you know, what happened. I showed them the video, and one of them looked in the back of my SUV, and I was thinking, that's not normal. And the other one, he looked at the video, and he actually showed him. I said, I can steal it so you can see, you know, this man, his face and all. And he did, and they both had looked at it first, and then I showed the video. Then the police officer actually looked at the video. He says, we're going to go look for him. And I'd already told the 911 operator which direction, because she asked me which direction he went after he left that stall, right before of course, the police showed up. And so they left to go, and I was telling her on the phone and then them, the police officers in person, that I was afraid to drive home, okay, because this guy might follow me. So they said they were going to go look for him. I didn't see them after that. I mean, I just walked away from them, got in my SUV and left, and did not see them again. Okay. Well, when I was leaving, I clicked my, before I got onto the road, I clicked my lights to, pushed it to make sure that they were on. And I know that they were already on, but there's more than one setting and to do. So I made sure they were on. And I thought, well, maybe they weren't, how you second guess yourself. But I'd already done the thing of flashing my lights. I'd already seen my lights reflection in somebody else's, and I would not have been able to drive down those roads without the lights, okay? So I already knew that they were on. And so then I called Adam on the phone and told him what happened while I was driving home. And so I told him, to meet me at the door, because by then it was already dark. I said, meet me outside the door when you hear me drive up. And because I was very afraid, because I can't even describe what the guy was doing, while he was sitting there, because it was so bizarre looking, like he was ranting or something. And yes, I thought the same as Adam did, that the guy was trying to show me what it was like for somebody to video you. Well, I wasn't videoing him. I was videoing, like I made sure I said I was doing it to the left when he was sitting at the right. Okay, so Adam said, well, he's just trying to teach you a lesson. I mean, I don't care what he was trying to do. You don't do that to a woman sitting alone in her SUV. You don't do it to anybody. It's not your rule, and that's not against the law. You can do it. It is not against the law at all. So anyway, it's not funny. So I drove home, was driving home, and I had to go through, a few roads and everything. And one of them, okay, I was turning, had to turn, and coming from the other direction was a red SUV. Okay. 3 red SUVs when this area, I can't remember ever seeing a red SUV. So that was very, very frightening for me. And I'm still talking to Adam on the phone. So I got home, and yeah, he met me outside, and that was the sum of it. And I'm glad that I have dogs, big dogs, mean dogs. Yeah, and the doors, of course, are secured, and we have all this surveillance and the alarm systems and stuff like that. But because I'm thinking, why would somebody be taking a picture of my license plate number? And I said to Adam, and he said, he's not going to have the capability of running your license plate number like a police officer would, that kind of thing. And it was still very suspicious, don't you think? Now, I know that because I am someone who does videos on YouTube, and I've been online for many years, people will always say don't, and it's a good advice. I take it. I do it. I say it myself. Don't take videos of your car with your license plate number on it, or your home with your street address, anything that indicates where you live, because trolls and crazy stalkers. I have actually been stalked from somebody online many years ago when I first got on. I learned my lesson the hard way. That was actually the last time he stalked me was 2005. And I knew where I lived, knew that I had moved. I just moved into an apartment that had a fireplace, and he knew somehow. Okay, that kind of thing. That was 1995. Did I say not 2000? But 1995. But anyway, so I learned the hard way back then. So, of course, when this guy took a picture of my license plate, I'm thinking of what we always have heard, about, many of us have heard, don't do that. Don't show your license plate. Somebody can run them. But I even question, how can they run them? But it's safe, don't do it, kind of thing. It's going to be dangerous. But anyway, after that, I wasn't really able to think about it till like an hour and a half later. I had so much else that was going on, and it started to hit me again, and that's when I was winding down to go to bed, and I had a difficult time sleeping, and I realized, how much I was shaken up because somebody between acting crazy, pointing out, taking pictures, you know, sitting there yelling or whatever and waving and blocking, trying to block me in, parked behind me, watching me, all these things. I should be very disturbed about that situation. And it's just something that I guess I'm still kind of in shock. I don't know if we're coming out of it. But anyway, that was enough. And I might take this video down later on. Oh, okay. Enough from this. I'll talk to you later.